Och du ska
Okay.
man, tack.
Mr. King George,
Okay. Bring us
bring us home.
bring us home there, George.
Beep, 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 beep.
Okay. We're back. Okay, so our last movie is Patty, eh?
Yep.
And what's the movie, Patty?
The Madness of King George.
Okay.
In 1788, King George entered the 28th year of his glorious reign.
I wish you the best of health, Father.
Wish me. You wish me death, you plump little cuckoo.
It was an age of nobility,
Mrs. King,
Mr. King.
a time of harmony.
you're a good little woman, Mrs. King, and we have been happy.
It was a monarchy destined to endure.
Stop! Long live the king!
But destiny would have to wait.
You're in company.
Mind your own business.
He was all-powerful,
Your Majesty would just lift your leg.
I'm the king, you lift my leg.
all-knowing,
Colonies.
They're now called the United States.
Goodness me.
but he wasn't quite all there.
Hello there, Georgie boy.
I want you to hand over Gibraltar to Spain and see if you can get Minorca in return.
I'm a physician, sir.
Well, then you should have no difficulty.
What would happen if the king were ill?
Her Royal Highness would have to be declared regent. King in all but name.
Is he ill?
He's not well.
His Majesty is just a man.
His Majesty is out of his mind. It's unthinkable.
Do you think that you are mad?
I hear the words, so I have to speak.
I was given to understand you might be able to cure His Majesty.
Well, I can cure him, Mr. Pitt. I'm just not sure what from.
So, The Madness of King George is about King George III in England, and who developed this. It's a really common disease now. It's a very genetic disease. It's called polythuria, and it gives you hallucinations, restlessness, excessive talking, excessive energy, anxiety. And he developed this, and blue urine also too. And he developed this while he was being a king. And Nigel Hawthorne plays the king. Helen Mirren plays Queen Charlotte. Ian Holmes plays Dr. Francis. Rupert Everett plays the bad guy, Prince of Wales. And the Prime Minister, who is my favorite character, is Julian Wadham. And what happens is he develops this disease. These people think he's mad, and so the Queen and the Prime Minister try to keep him in power, and his son, Rupert Everett, Prince of Wales, tries to get him out of power so he can take over. And that's what you see. You see how he develops this disease. And I got to say, if you don't know English theater at all or English broadcasting, Nigel Hawthorne won't mean anything to you, but he's a very big,
British actor?
very big. And they won the BAFTA Award for the Best British Film, which is like the Academy Awards here. Helen Mirren won the Best Female Lead in the Cannes Festival. It's a great movie because if you like British movies, this is your movie. It shows the time, it's like the 1700s, and it shows where, there's so much protocol to being a king, and he breaks them all because he just flips out. And while she and the Prime Minister are trying to keep it together, the other side, the Prince, I'll say Rupert Everett,
yeah.
Prince of Wales, is trying to usurp him, and become the king. And you see the struggle of him trying to be mad and yet sane at the same time. And what they do is, because nobody knew of that illness at the time, they took it as madness of the mind, and they brought in Ian Holmes, who's Dr. Francis, and his idea of how you handle this is to restrain them physically, mentally, every way you could think of.
Anytime they act improperly.
Yeah, and proper is such a big word in the British, hierarchy. And so it's so well acted. It's one of my top 20 movies, and you really see how each side tries to get their way through government so they can win. And it's kind of like government today. I mean, it's just totally the same thing. My favorite character in it is the prime minister, who is Julian Waderm. And he's such a dry character in it, but he does the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And so at the beginning, you don't like him, but actually, you see he's very loyal to the king and the proper way of doing things. And you see how he makes it through. Sue, what did you think?
Oh, well, it's a wonderful movie.
It is.
It's a wonderful movie. It's very British. And the thing with, I mean, obviously this is a true story.
Yeah.
So George III was the king that lost the colonies.
And yet, that's not brought up too much.
And also Helen Mirren, who is Queen Charlotte.
Yep.
She plays his wife, who had 15 children.
Right.
Rupert Everett is the oldest of her children,
Right.
and he's undermining
ass.
his father.
Yes.
Well, you really get to see the palace intrigue.
In the workings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
and the kind of,
Espionage.
The Game of Thrones.
the Game of Thrones. Yeah, absolutely. The
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right.
Perfect. And it's actually the I thought it was really good that not that doctor, but the
Right.
doctor for the palace doctor.
Right, the palace doctor.
Right? It was like he was hysterical.
Yes, he
because
was.
all he ever concentrates on is his stool.
Which, in this day and age, you learn a lot by somebody's
do,
stools.
and they're always like-
But then you didn't. You
Right.
know what I mean?
But yes, in this particular case, it wouldn't help. But it was yes, it was a wonderful movie. It's very British, but again, like Dolomite, it's a real story. So
It makes it
so
better. I don't know why.
Yes, the king was a decent man.
Proud man,
Yes.
aggressive, like.
But
good to
actually,
be
there
king.
was many things he had there was many positions he had that they had at that time.
Right.
That today we would not think of as good positions. You know what I mean? Because they kind of wanted to change things. That's kind of
Right.
Rupert Everett, the Prince of Wales. You know, who would be
Rupert
like
Everett.
who would be like Prince Charles now. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? He's kind of the equivalent of
Waiting
their-
to jump the throne.
yeah. So it was, it was a very good movie. I would highly recommend. The acting quality is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You are there.
Yes. And
George?
Yeah, I like the movie too. I really like it. I also like that character. Is it Julian? You said
Which
who
one?
plays the
Prime Minister.
William Pitt.
Oh, he's William Pitt.
Is that who it is? The one
what's he play?
who backs up the king all the time with a kind of gray wig
Yes, he's
with a
you're
really
talking about-
posh accent.
Yeah.
No,
because
it's William Pitt.
who was kind of annoying, but he was
Yes.
helping the king.
Right,
but he had
right.
I really like the character because I just like how annoying he was and how like but he meant well because he's I guess how they have the parties and obviously he
Oh, that's the
belonged.
prime minister.
Yes, and so
Yeah.
so he was part of the king's party and wanted to make
Right.
sure that the king stays king. That's the
Right.
party, and they have the opposing party who wants to,
Right.
who now is the king's son who wants to,
Right.
I guess, belongs to the other party, and they want to,
And they
What-
make
Throw him in
Rupert
there.
Everett such a obnoxious bad guy.
Yeah,
And that's why it's good because he plays you know who the bad guy is right off. It's his son who's trying to
Yeah.
usurp him, right?
Right. But there was also, I was going to say, shoot, I can't remember what I was going to say. There was a thought that came in my head.
about
there.
that character, the
Oh, no. If you ever watch, you watch the news and you see, because now Brexit and everything, you see
Oh,
like
yeah.
Parliament and
Right.
you see them going like, order, right? And I swear in this movie, they're doing
thing.
the same
But
thing.
it's funny how
the
it hasn't
same
changed. Yeah, it
setup.
hasn't changed. They have the two sides,
Yep.
and somebody's the South Inspector, and everybody's like, oh,
And the
whatever
guy's
they
going,
say.
order. you know,
It's
I was
very
like,
much the
wow.
same in British Parliament.
Yeah. So
Also, I also
yeah.
found it scary that when I watch, obviously, it's interesting how these movies they're about real life and how real life makes a great movie too, because it's so
Right.
interesting.
Yes.
Right.
But I also always find it when I watch the period pieces, how scary the medical world is at that time.
God.
It's just so scary.
Medical
the
world
things
is
that they do.
because
And you're like,
what they do to
my
cure
God, how these
him.
people survive?
Yeah,
I'm like, how did?
yeah, they use leeches and hot. What do you call those things?
Kind of
Those-
like
Oh,
jars.
yeah,
They blister the
in
skin.
acupuncture, they use
Blisters.
it too, but not in the same way.
They blister the skin.
Yeah, they
want
blister, it, and it's very painful. And they use these old school kind of traditions, but yet the new doctor coming in uses restraint. That's what he uses, which is equally barbaric.
Well,
but
not really. I mean, not really. I mean, he's teaching him like kind of like Pavlov's dog and a thing. If
Yeah,
you behave
it
like
is.
this,
He's
so he
conditioning
gets-
him.
Yeah, so
negative reinforcement.
So
yes.
and funny enough, he does seem to have control.
Right.
Because he realizes after a while when something is not, when he's going to get put in that position.
Chair, yeah.
In the chair. And I would
chair.
say it was at least a thing that got
It
resolved.
gave him boundaries.
But it gave him results.
But he didn't
as
do it.
opposed to all the suffering he
Yeah.
had with the other thing that would have done nothing.
But also, he didn't do it through a medical, like
He had a theory.
scientific way. He did it through a psychological way.
Yes.
Where he trained him like a
Right,
dog,
like a
basically.
dog,
You
yeah.
do this, or this happens to you. So he really wasn't cured. He learned to behave a certain way. And
And
he
then
made
they-
he had a great line too, but I can't remember it now about I don't know how to act proper or something like that. I always by myself. I can't remember now, but it was a great line about that. Pretending.
What I thought was great about the movie was Nigel Hawthorne, who plays the king, is how he slips into madness really easily.
Yes.
And you kind of catch on to it because it's something in the 20th century we wouldn't think of as abnormal.
Yes.
And then he goes really deep into it, and then he slowly comes out of it, and you see him be the king again. And I thought that kind of acting was amazing.
Well, I also thought it was interesting that what happens to the people who were
Are around him?
Yes, it was.
They get sacked.
It was kind of. It shows you also that the reality of the cold bloodedness of
yeah.
it is. So even though you feel for the king in this, and Helen Mirren especially, right? But the thing is in real life, if you go back and read about George III, he had many positions you would not find
Attractive.
attractive. Or
Because you got sacked the minute you saw
But
him
also-
in a
also
bad
like-
state.
like-
well, also he would. Yeah, go
But also
ahead.
in the movie, like in the beginning, I thought he was an asshole, the character. I really did not
Which
like
one?
him.
The
The
king?
king.
Yeah.
And then when he was sick and you fought for him and he's trying and everything,
Right.
and you feel sorry for him, and I felt sorry for him and I liked him.
Right.
And then once he got
Was-
better and became the king again, he became that asshole, and I like him again. And
Funny if I didn't think of him as an asshole.
then-
he was very like a king.
well, he was behaving like a king, like they said. Well, how
Right.
come you got sacked? He goes,
Right.
because you care too much about the king. You become
It's true. Anybody who had
liability.
just at his worst point, anybody who like played along with him, stayed with
Mm-hmm.
him, got sacked, and that was sad because they knew he was sick and they wouldn't have said anything.
It's kind
And
of
I
like
thought that was sad.
It's kind of like a modern day. Somebody who has all your selfies.
Yeah, right.
you get rid of them because you know too much.
A modern
But
day
that's how
self.
Yeah,
cold
exactly.
the monarchy is.
Yep.
Okay, so George,
The 10 caliber acting is just
10.
10 has to have a 10. Okay, so that ends our
13.
yes
Podcast.
13.
podcast. So let me just say this.
Say
Now-
this, Sue.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, this ends our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Spotify and SoundCloud. Excuse me. But you can also download us from iTunes, and you can, score us. Give us, rate us.
we'd
but if
love
you're going to
that.
give a bad rating, don't put it on.
No, put it on. We'd like to know why you're putting it on.
Okay. You can email us at whattheflixpodcast@gmail.com. And you can give us, your criticism, your suggestions, any movies you want us to watch. We
We'll
would
do
love
it.
that.
We will.
We would love that.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter when they are, like long time ago, now, doesn't matter.
Any movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We have a YouTube page that you can watch the video of this. And I guess that's it for this week.
Well, George.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. I was going to say, so until next time, adios amigos.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.